So let's get started. All right, so this is my most recent book, The Way of Ayurvedic Herbs. If you're interested, this information is in there. This question, food or medicine, is a non-question in Ayurveda because food is medicine, medicine is food. Dr. Shiva was saying earlier today that nothing is right for everybody, everything is right for somebody, and oh so true. This question is particularly irrelevant because Ayurveda uses many herbs that we would think of as just condiments. Ginger, cinnamon, clove, things that we would put in tea or bake into bread just for good taste, but they turn out to be very powerful medicine. Ayurveda makes no distinction. So vegetables like radishes and cabbage that you see here are powerful medicine in the right circumstances, the right situation. Things that we would think of as herbal medicine turn out to be healing foods. There is no food in Ayurveda that's not healing. There is no healing without food. Herbs and food are all the same. Things that we would think of as food, things like asparagus or squash, turn out to be powerful herbal medicine. Ayurveda would like you to eat herbal medicine in every single meal. You know, when you go to an Indian restaurant, those were all Ayurvedic formulas at one time, and they've been adapted to your taste to make them tasty. So every Ayurvedic formula, every Indian food starts out traditionally with herbal medicine, and then you add the broccoli or whatever to make it more palatable. So every opportunity to take herbs is a chance to eat food. Every chance to eat food is an opportunity to take herbs. They're no difference. All right, starting our countdown. They're not in any particular order except that number one, Triphala has to be first because that's the most famous Ayurvedic herb of all. Triphala is taken by more human beings than any other herbal combination on planet Earth, and it's in almost every Ayurvedic formulation. It's the ultimate fully balanced formula for anyone, anytime, anywhere. The name Triphala means three fruits. Tri is three, phal is fruit. These are little leathery fig-like fruits that grow in the Himalayas, the foothills of the Himalayas. They're not delicious fruits like an apricot or a pear. They're botanically fruit. In fact, they all taste god-awful horrible. But you can grind them, put them together, and make very famous medicine out of them. So these fruits, as you can see, Amla, Bibitaki, and Haritaki, are dried. The pits are removed. They're used in equal proportions in every way imaginable. Ayurveda likes to use herbs in every way you could think of, in many ways that you probably haven't thought of. But Ayurveda herbs go into the body in every way you could imagine, swallowing them up your nose, in your ears, and just you can imagine all the other places that they might go into. But Triphala is one of the main herbs that's used for eye wash, for gargling, just everything. So it's the ultimate tridoshic herb. We're going to be talking about the doshas. Dr. Shiva talked about them earlier today. Every tissue is benefited by Triphala. Liver, skin, and eyes in particular, glandular balance, hormone functioning. Triphala is about equally building and detoxifying, so it's good for just about everybody. Something that you could literally start taking today. You could walk out of here, start taking it, and take it every day thereafter, and Ayurveda would encourage you to. These slides that we're watching here, I would be glad to send you a copy of these slides if you would give me your email. And there are some sheets passing around somewhere there that if you can give me your email, I'd be glad to send you these slides and some other goodies. So no need to write frantically. If it's on the slide, you can get it. I'll send it to you. All right, so Triphala is a combination of the main medicine in Ayurveda for each dosha. Amla for Pitta, Bibitaki for Kapha, and Haritaki for Vata. In the proper proportions, Triphala has all the 6 tastes in balance. From the Ayurvedic perspective, it's the most balanced remedy in all of Ayurveda. So every organ. A maintenance dose of Triphala would be about a gram per day. That would be a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, and that would often be taken just mixed into water and drinking it down. I think something you would scoop out of the mud puddle would actually taste better than doing that, but you can choose to do it that way if you like, or you could take tablets or pills in the modern world. We'd like you to taste herbs if possible, see what you can do. The Haritaki in Ayurveda is a mild laxative. So if we want to use that as kind of a folk laxative, an easy, calm, slow acting laxative for pediatric or geriatric use. People in folk uses use this all the time just as a very mild remedy. Old Uncle George is doing really well, but he just can't quite manage to have that bowel movement every day. Triphala is just a little bit of encouragement. So a dose of something like 5 grams a day would be a good dose for that kind of scenario. So these are the fruits. Little kind of leathery fruits. So you can see the Haritaki is the torpedo-shaped one. The Amla is the round one that looks like it would taste delicious, but taste me does not. And Bibitaki, again, kind of shaped like a tangerine, let's say. So these are right straight out of the jungle, fresh. We dry these and use them as medicine. This is a Triphala Forest. As far as the eye can see, these trees are all closely related to each other, and they grow in close proximity. They're cousins. So this Triphala Forest is there for the harvesting of these herbs. Here's Amla being harvested in a forest, and you can see what those look like. These are very unusual trees. It's hard to imagine any tree like them. They look like they came from an alien species. They just don't look like any other tree that you can imagine. But look how just it's groaning with the fruit, with the yield of that outrageous Amla. So Amla is the most widely used of the 3 Triphala herbs, which is the most widely used combination. So Amla just goes into everything in every way. Jelly, candy, as a condiment, as juice, as tea, every possible way that you could get it in. It's the most broad spectrum, health balancing, long-term, slow-acting tonic in all of Ayurveda. Its main claim to fame is that it controls pitta dosha, or inflammation. So it's a slow-acting, long-term anti-inflammatory. So we see this fresh looking fruit, and then it can be used fresh or dry. We're never going to eat it just like a delicious pear, something like this. It's going to be processed somehow to make it more palatable. It does have a pit. We're going to remove that, and then Grandma is going to cook it into a pickle or a soup or jelly. Here it is on the tree. Very strange looking tree. These people are Amla harvesters, and they're knocking the pits out of Amla for harvest. Then after it's ground, this woman is grinding it to powder. Very typical Indian kind of scene. Amla is the only one of these 3 herbs that's cultivated. So here we have an Amla orchard. That branch in the foreground is an Amla branch, and then those other saplings that are growing. Amla is beginning to be cultivated. Ayurvedic herbs have been wildcrafted for thousands of years, and they've been harvested sustainably, but now there's harvesting pressure on them. So the idea of growing them in fields, cultivating them, is necessary. Right straight off the pickle vendor's cart. So this is Amla in brine, like a dill pickle, but salty Amla. Amla in heavy syrup, like you would buy peaches, something like that. Amla maraba. It actually tastes pretty decent processed in these ways. Amla pickles or Amla in syrup is good. This pickle guy had about a dozen different types of Amla: sweet, spicy, salty, everything that you could imagine. And people go for it. The idea in India is that if you're going to eat something that's good for you, you might as well eat something that tastes good, and vice versa. So why just have a funky cookie for a snack? Why not have a funky cookie that's going to be good for you? All right, Amla pickle. This is a brand that I happen to like, easily available here. This is Grandma's version, made at home. Amla cooked with chilies and spices, Amla candy, so many different possibilities. Anything that you want, you can get it made with Amla one way or another. The strawberry version, the plain version of these candies, and the ultimate way to consume Amla, not Amla juice. This was on a menu in a restaurant, and I just couldn't resist showing you a picture of it. This is a health food restaurant, and it just looks like it would be so good, but alas, you drink it because it's good for you, not because it tastes very good. However, it is available for us in capsule form now. So those of you with high pitta, this is your herb. Use it a little bit every day. You can use it forever, long-term kind of thing. All right, Bibitaki, the name means disease fears it. These all have very powerful names. So this is an herb for suppressing kapha dosha, the main one of the 3 doshas that causes disease in Ayurveda. This is an astringent remedy. So people make tea out of it to gargle with before singing or public speaking, something like that, what they look like. Haritaki, in a certain sense, is the most important herb in all of Ayurveda because it controls Vata dosha, which Dr. Shiva was saying earlier today is the culprit that causes all the problems. Vata dosha is like the desert wind blowing across the desert, sucking all the moisture and creating a sandstorm, creating chaos. That's what it's doing in your body. So Haritaki controls that errant Vata dosha air element that's gotten out of control and is pushing its way out to cause problems. Haritaki controls that. So Haritaki, this is the laxative one. So here we are processing it. All right, so as these fruits dry, we can mix them together, and we have the Triphala, which is available, easily available in every health food store now in the United States. Use a gram or so a day just for general balance. Here's a remedy taught by my teacher that I think you'll find fun. Take a tablespoon of Triphala powder, put it in a tumbler of water before you go to bed. Just stir it up, let it sit there on your nightstand, and let the water just absorb the essence. When you wake up in the morning, before you move around at all, reach over, grab that, drink it down. In about 5 minutes, your nose will become like a fire hydrant, just a drastic nasal purge. Why would that be fun, you say? Well, because if it's during allergy season, let's say, and normally you have that kind of situation where you wake up congested and you have that one drip every 10 seconds for the next 6 hours, this just gets rid of all that gunk. Doesn't heal your nose, not healing your allergies, but it gets rid of all that morning mucus that's stuck in your nose. Comes out in 5 minutes. It's just astounding. You'll have one giant sneeze. It'll all be out. Well, turmeric, I've been a turmeric missionary for 30 years. My name in the herb world is Haldi Baba, which means like Sir Turmeric. And so turmeric is just my favorite herb. It does so many things, and I feel so validated now because turmeric is the #1 substance of all herbs, drugs, and every other thing being studied in the world today. 1,000 scientific papers a year being written on turmeric. Does over 200 things we know now. So of course this is it's the herb that makes curry yellow. And this is an anti-inflammatory remedy that, let's say that you were playing softball and you twisted your elbow, and by that evening it was swollen up the size of a cantaloupe. You could take 4 tablespoons of turmeric, just stir it into water and drink it down, and be fine. And by the morning you'd wake up with that elbow feeling good again. Very dramatically effective. So acute situations where you want to control inflammation. We're going to talk a bit more tomorrow about herbs for your yoga practice, and this is one of the ones we'll talk about in more detail about how to get those benefits for those sore muscles and joints. 1 teaspoon a day for maintenance. So profoundly anti-inflammatory in every way. This is fresh turmeric. You can use it that way. Fresh or dried, juice, they all work. Profoundly antioxidant. We know that oxidation is the big trend that people are talking about now in terms of maintaining your health. A little bit astringent, that means that it pulls tissue together and tightens up your tissues. Cellular immunity, what I meant there was cancer. It's profoundly anti-cancer. You know, the Baylor College of Medicine, which is not some nutty Ayurveda school, it's the most mainstream medical research facility that you can imagine in the United States, in Texas, just issued a report saying that they'd studied turmeric against 100 types of cancer in 4 stages, and they had yet to find a cancer that it did not benefit. All 4 stages, all 100 types of cancer to some extent, minimal or substantial. I mean, that's pretty dramatic. So a teaspoon a day is what the average Indian person consumes, and their rates of these degenerative diseases are considerably less. Very good thing to get to know. Well, dementia. This is the hot topic, is using turmeric to treat Alzheimer's disease today, and it's all over the scientific papers. So we could get ahead of that by using it now, a little bit in our food here and there. As a digestive aid, and then especially joint health, as I mentioned, it's known for helping to remineralize joints, reduce joint inflammation across the board. We could go on and on, 200 slides we don't have. But the immune system, it enhances your ability to fight disease, cold and flu, that sort of thing. A liver remedy. Skin health, whether taken internally or externally, so many great topical treatments with turmeric. Gargle it for a sore throat. Helps your cardiovascular system, reduces cholesterol, enhances the regulation of blood pressure, blood sugar. Benefits your teeth and gums. You can brush your teeth with it. You can just take it internally for the benefit of your teeth, and it's an ultimate detoxifier. So many things. If there's one herb that we had to pick from tonight, well, I don't know if we can. There's 10 great herbs to talk about here, but this would be a fantastic one to start to use. It has this beautiful flower, closely related to ginger, which we'll talk about in a second. This whole family, which includes cardamom, have these beautiful orchid-like flowers. So how do you get turmeric in? Well, you could use it in your food, as we suggested. This is corn curry, little cashew, the yellow from turmeric. Turmeric rice, turmeric tea, all these ways. If you like the taste of turmeric, the more the better in any of these forms. If it's less appealing to you, then hide it in something, a little curry, something like that. But getting it in every day is one of the most profound things we know, not just from traditional Ayurveda, but from modern science, that we could do for our benefit of our body. One disadvantage of turmeric is that the active ingredients are not in very high proportions. So in order to really do very much, you have to take a substantial amount. So for that elbow that you injured playing softball, you're talking several tablespoons, which is challenging. So it is available as a concentrate, and that would be a way to take it in a capsule form for its anti-inflammatory benefit, and you would swallow less. The color of turmeric even. All right, so ginger. Ginger is called the universal medicine in Ayurveda. The scriptures literally say, if you can't treat it with ginger, don't even bother. It's a medicine that does 100 things, but it doesn't do any of them very well. So this is common for these folk medicines where grandma will know a dozen medicines, but she can treat 99 diseases with those dozen medicines, depending on how she uses it. Ginger does so many things, but for everything that it does, there's something better. So we use it as a broad spectrum health benefit, taking it every day. I make a point to take ginger every single day, one way or another. Warms up our digestion, enhances digestive functions, promotes circulation, warms up your circulation throughout your body. Another joint remedy. Ginger has an affinity for the joints. It's brought to the joints and helps the joints warm up and become more mobile. Ginger growing in a field in India. Ginger grows where it's really, really hot. So it likes those just blistering hot kinds of moist tropical kinds of places, and we would see the roots here if we harvested it. So you could dice it, use it in your food. You could use the powdered ginger, of course. Any of these ways are going to work for you to get it in. Ginger tea turns out to be not such a great way to get enough ginger in to really do very much. It's pretty pungent, and most people find that the taste is too pungent to get in a very high dose. So in food or some other medicine form usually is better. Using ginger tea is great. It's just that to get high medicinal doses in, not the best way for most people. Ginger fudge, anything. Turmeric ginger tea. This is even so popular now that it's available in commercial form. Ginger dessert. All right. So the universal medicine in Ayurveda. Ashwagandha is certainly one of the 10 most famous herbs in Ayurveda, probably one of the top 5. Ashwagandha is a close relative of a tomato plant, and the name means smells like a horse. Now don't let that put you off. It's hard to really kind of get the sense of it smelling that much like a horse. Really, I think a better idea is that it gives you the stamina of a horse. That's a better way to understand it. So this is the main tonic for men in Ayurveda. Not that it's forbidden for women. It's just a great choice for men. Women have other better choices. So it would be recommended in Ayurveda that when you reach puberty as a man, you start taking a small amount, just a gram or 2 every day, and you take it every day thereafter to maintain muscular strength, stamina, sexual functioning, nerve health, everything you can imagine. Ashwagandha, very broad spectrum remedy. It's related to tomatoes and potatoes. It's just the root of a simple tomato plant. It's very food-like. So all these kinds of uses. Fundamentally, it's a stamina enhancer that helps your thinking and your immune system. I'll let you read these things when you get these slides. A little bit more detail here. My clientele for the last 40 years has been 95% women. So I've given ashwagandha to far more women than men. This herb is the #1 herb in the world to treat anxiety. Stupendous remedy for anxiety. I've had many women tell me they could trade it straight across for Valium. Valium works in 15 minutes. Ashwagandha takes 15 days. So it's more like preventing anxiety once you get going with it. But a modest dose of ashwagandha, let it saturate your body for a couple weeks, and you're just wondering, why did I ever think I was anxious? It's beautiful. Very, very good herb for anxiety, especially in women, although it's the main herb for men, as we said, as a stamina-enhancing sexual tonic. So anxiety we mentioned. Well, with the name Withania somnifera, you'd think it would have something to do with sleep, and sure enough it does. Ashwagandha helps regulate sleep patterns, sleep cycles. It doesn't make you sleepy when you take it, but taking it every day helps you fall asleep, stay asleep more deeply, and awaken more refreshed. What could be better? Especially for yogis, it's a fantastic herb. So for men especially, a dose of just a very modest dose, 3 to 6 grams a day, consistently in capsules or powder form. You can take it however you like. Stir it into your yogurt if you like. For real serious emergencies, we use much higher doses. I said 60 grams a day here. So that would be for anxiety, unbearable anxiety, or that kind of something like that. All right, so it has these little berries that look like tomatillos. Being harvested in India, the bulk root. But you're going to see it as powder one way or another. You can buy this in bags in the herb market. You can buy it in jars in the health food store. Shatavari, the equivalent for women. The name Shatavari means 100 husbands, same kind of idea. So this is a root of an asparagus plant, and just a simple food, but these roots are so potent and so effective. These are used, we don't have them fresh here, but in India you can get them fresh. It's kind of like a jicama, crispy and sweet and crunchy. You peel it, take a bite of that. Oh, so delicious. Yeah, so Shatavari field. So this is the major tonic for women, as we said. So Shatavari is a little cooling, a little moistening. Ashwagandha is a little warming, a little drying. They're often used together because their energetics offset each other, and it would be very common to take equal amounts for years to sustain your stamina. So this is a cousin of the asparagus that we eat the stem as a vegetable. So here are the roots. This herb has an affinity for the pelvis. It's used for urinary infections, that sort of thing. Roots are dried, and then they peel them to process them. Shatavari. Fantastic herb for women. This herb erases hot flashes in a day. You can have 20 hot flashes today and 0 tomorrow if you take enough Shatavari today. Beautiful. So many things. We could talk the whole night about this. Many preparations. Here's an herbal jam made from Shatavari. So for acute symptoms like bladder infection or hot flashes, we use 15 grams, just 1 to 2 grams lifelong for women. This is the reason that women who have followed an Ayurvedic lifestyle don't have hot flashes, but you start when you're 13 so that when you're 53, you don't have the hot flashes. We have to use higher doses to treat women who are experiencing them. Gotu kola, one of my favorite herbs. This herb really produces as advertised. This herb has become known all over the world, and it's an herb in all the big 3 systems, Western, Ayurveda, and Chinese. It comes originally from South Asia and Southeast Asia. It's a swamp plant that sneaked its way into European herbalism 140 years ago, so even European herbalists know about it. Centella Asiatica, the scientific name. This herb has 2 main uses. The first is for the nervous system. This herb aids concentration and memory. It's an herb for yogis. It's a meditation herb. It enhances your awareness, your consciousness, your connection with the divine, with infinity. It makes you have a super brain, concentration and memory. The Ayurvedic name is Brahmi, God, godlike. So it gives you godlike consciousness. Very, very noticeable, really nice. There's a couple studies here that I'll just let you look at when you get these slides. The other use for Gotu kola is to heal connective tissue. So injuries, bruises, sprains, strains, scars, things like that, and including nerve injuries. So crushing injury to the nerves, diseases like multiple sclerosis. This is my specialty is neurology, so I treat a lot of multiple sclerosis and epilepsy and autism and that sort of thing. Fantastic remedy for the brain. This is absolutely my favorite. So fractures, bruises, skin diseases. I saw my master use this countless times to treat eczema. Very, very effective. So membranes in the body, skin, lungs, all these things. All right, another study, you can look at that. So just for you to read later, it's a lot of detail. All right, so we're going to use Gotu kola in America or wherever you come from. Probably would grow fantastic right here in the Bahamas, actually. This is exactly where it likes to grow, in this kind of hot, wet kind of environment. So we're going to use it as tea for most of us, if it's not available fresh. A typical dose, this herb is a flimsy salad vegetable. It's like spinach. It's in the parsley family, so it's mild. We want high doses, 30 to 60 grams as tea. If you're lucky to be somewhere where it grows fresh, you could use the juice. Some of you come from warmer tropical places. You could use the juice. Could cook it into rice porridge. Can make salad out of it. If you visited Thailand or Vietnam, it would be on the menu in the restaurant as salad. Any way you can imagine getting it in. If you think of it as spinach, you now know how to cook with it. So chutney, pesto, saag, any or all these possibilities, anything that you could think of to do with spinach. I like to make my saag with half Gotu kola. I just rehydrate the dried herb and blend it, and half spinach. It's a beautiful combination, and you get that brain power going there in the saag. Okay, moving on to the next essential herb, Guduchi. Guduchi is an herb that has many, many uses from acute to long-term. I'll let you look at this later when you get these slides. The Hindi name is Gilo. I remember the way I learned about this was very early in my apprenticeship with my teacher. He said, you know that plant that grows outside the people's houses that they use for cold and flu? Of course, I'd never heard of it one bit. I said, yeah, sure, I know about that. He said, I need this Gilo, go get some. I had no idea what Gilo was. I went around to everybody I knew, anybody that spoke any Indian language. Do you know what Gilo is? Have you ever heard of Gilo? He didn't know the scientific name or the Sanskrit name, and finally I figured out what it was and got some. But that was typical of introduction with him with things. All right, so it's the vine that we use. So it's an immune support remedy that's grandma does grow outside the door of the house. Little Johnny comes down with a fever. Grandma goes out to the Guduchi vine, grabs a hunk of vine, leaf, flower, berry, whatever's there, brings it in, cooks it up, and within 15 minutes, little Johnny is drinking a tea to help his cold and flu. Very famous acute cold and flu remedy, but it's also a long-term rejuvenating remedy, an anti-aging remedy. So it treats short-term and very, very long-term, stamina-enhancing. This herb is considered to be the best herb in all of Ayurveda for cleaning the channels of the brain. You've all studied yoga, you know those 72,000 nadis in the body. The ones of the brain, Guduchi goes in there like a little street cleaner and sucks out the ama, the toxins that are stuck in the brain, and gives you a brand new brain. So we've got a couple things that we can use for brain. So we're going to use this in powder form. 2 to 10 grams a day would be a typical dose, and easily available from commercial sources. Gokshara, very famous long-term stamina-enhancing herb. It's the seed pod. This spiky seed pod is what we use. It's got some seeds in it. You grind it up, take the powder. Here it is growing on a vine. So these spiky seed pods gradually mature and harden. Very famous Ayurvedic brain herb again. See how much emphasis Ayurveda places on keeping your brain working so that you can meditate and keeping you alive long enough so you can continue to meditate. So it's the seed pod, or what we would call the fruit. It enhances stamina, brings mental clarity. Where I live in Oregon, it's a cold, dark place, and we have tremendous problems with seasonal affective disorder, and this is my go-to remedy. Any of you that live in cold, dark places where people have seasonal depression, this herb really hits the mark. But it's also slimy. So when you take it internally, it helps to soothe the gut with its beautiful, slimy in a good way type energy. Number one remedy known in Ayurveda for kidney and urinary problems. It's the go-to herb. Ask any Ayurvedic doctor if you had one herb that you could use for the kidney, this would be it. Kidney, bladder infection, any kind of disorder of that area. So you can get this easily in the herb market. You could take it, churna means powder. You could take the powder in any way that you like. You could mix it in ghee. You could use medicated ghee made from this gokshara. Takara is buttermilk. Lassi, of course, is dilute yogurt. You know that. So any of those forms would be good for the gokshara to get into your body. These birds have nothing to do with gokshara. I just thought they were funny. I don't know what they're doing there with the gokshara, but they were attracted to it just like we are. So 2 to 10 grams a day. So aloe, we're talking here about the gel, the center of the aloe, that clear, slimy center. Aloe helps your body turn food into nutrients, turn food into blood. This is some aloe growing in India in nature. Aloe is one of the most profound cell-enhancing, growth-enhancing, cell-proliferant remedies in the entire world. It helps your body grow new healthy cells when you take it internally. We think of aloe as a burn remedy, but here we're talking about taking it internally, the gel portion, to grow new beautiful cells to heal wounds, sprains, strains, any kind of problem where your body has become injured, something like that. So we want to use the gel. The skin is a laxative. That's not what we're talking about right now. So the gel, you'll be able to find it processed so the gel has been scraped out and you can get a hold of it. So you take it internally. You use it for tummy problems like heartburn and ulcer. Slimy, cooling, healing. Beautiful. Ayurveda, though, has a completely different take on Ayurveda, on aloe. Aloe is one of the most important rejuvenators in all of Ayurveda for women. The number one anti-aging remedy The name in Sanskrit for aloe is kumari, which means virgin or maiden. The idea is it helps you in an anti-aging way to go back to have a body like you did when you were 13, 14, 15. Beautiful. So you drink that internally, the juice. You can keep your mature mind and all your discrimination. That's fine. Just your body that goes back. I know you don't want to act like a 13-year-old again. All right. So aloe vera gel, 1 to 16 ounces per day. If you don't get the skin in there, it won't be laxative. And you can drink a pint of aloe vera juice per day. By the way, aloe vera gel is the emergency fertility remedy in all of Ayurveda. I've had 35 babies born to my practice from infertile couples, and aloe is responsible for it almost every single time. When women come and have gone through every possible test at the University Medical Center, no one knows why they're infertile. We reach for aloe. She drinks her pint a day, couple months, bingo, ready to go. We just had one born about 2 weeks ago, responsible. Aloe was responsible. So I'm just warning you. It's okay. So aloe also can be used as food. Sabji, a vegetable side dish, it can be cooked up as a food. So grandma would take these leaves in India, cut off the thorns, and chop it up just like you're going to make carrots or celery. Cook it up with some kind of sauce, and you end up with something like this. It's delicious. It's a little bit bitter, a little sweet, a little crispy and kind of crunchy. You can make a hot dish. You can make a cold dish. So the diced gel is sweet and tasty and can be used for dessert. Put a little fruit with it, something like that. It makes a beautiful, crunchy dessert. We're just about finished here. It's got one more herb to go. This is my favorite source of aloe. These people, Stockton, make a fantastic aloe that's grown not far from us, actually, in Puerto Rico here. And they fresh freeze it and send it to you frozen. The best aloe I've ever tasted. Beautiful, if you want to drink the aloe gel. All right. So to end our discussion, let's talk about neem, which again is one of those herbs that does 100 things, but is a grandma herb. It's an herb to have around that does so many things. It's not the one that we tend to use that much therapeutically professionally because it's not as punchy as you otherwise might like. It's a bitter cold remedy, but every part of the tree is used. They call it the village pharmacy. It's very common. This is a neem tree. They're great big trees like oak trees. Very common to plant one in the middle of the village so that people can harvest from it. So people come out and pick the leaves for little Johnny's cold and flu. They come out and pick twigs to brush their teeth. They come out and pick berries to use as insecticide or for massage uses. So bitter detoxifier, digestive remedy, kills everything. Every parasite in you, it will kill. Every kind of insect, every bug you could imagine. So cold and flu, this is another one of those things where grandma cooks it up, little Johnny is drinking it. It's exquisitely bitter, so you've been warned, but it does treat cold and flu. And then we make a massage oil from the seeds, this fixed oil. It has a very strong smell. You might like it, you might not. Most people find it to be a little disagreeable, but there's nothing like it for controlling heat in the body. A full body massage of neem oil to control pitta for dermatitis, any kind of heat condition. Fantastic. The flower for hair rinse. These flowers are edible. You can just cook them up, steam them a little bit, and eat them. They're tasty. So I mentioned the toothbrushing. This is a village toothbrush, neem stick. Brush away. All right, so you can apply it externally as a paste, as a wash, and then body work, as we talked about. Okay. Couple of video presentations having to do with a couple of these things. You can take a look at these if you're interested. All right, we're all set. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention. Bye now.